Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mum Drum. I, of course, wanted to get back into my deep dive about the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case and Dee Dee Blanchard case. As you know, I have gone down a very deep rabbit hole, and I have now since joined a couple of Patreon groups and some more Facebook groups and TikTok followers, and the rabbit hole just gets deeper and deeper. I wanted to share with you a PDF that I came across in one of the groups, and it is to do with the text messages that occurred between Gypsy and Nicholas. And this is before the unaliving of Dee Dee Blanchard. So as you can see here on the screen, they are dated Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, and it is labeled Gypsy Rose of Dee Dee Blanchard discussion. So this is actually part of the case file, part of the evidence. So as you can see up the top up here, we have got Gypsy outlined in pink, and we've got the defendant, which is Nick, outlined in blue. So I am trying to not get all sarcastic, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen, isn't it? I'm just going to read them. And I'm like, mind you, I have read maybe the first 2 or 3 pages of this. This document is over 427 pages long. So we're not going to get through it all today, but we are going to get a start on reading at least, I don't know, half an hour of it. I won't keep you for too long. And as long as I can shut my mouth and not be too sarcastic in the journey and not too many eye rolls, it shouldn't take too long. But yeah, I don't know. I got to page 3 and I was already doing all the eye rolls. And I'm like, I have to unfold this in front of you guys because I don't want to have to do this alone. I'm going to go crazy. So let's unpick it apart. Okay, so Gypsy sends a message to the defendant on it's 18 minutes past 6 on Wednesday, and it's the May the 27th. So in 2015. So this is 2015. So this, I'm guessing that this is kind of like right back at the very start of their relationship, sort of, you know. So Gypsy sends the defendant a message and says, what was that for, hun? Bit out of context, but anyway, let's continue reading. The defendant says, that was my evil side. Who did that? That was my evil side. Who did that? You know, my good side would never call you that, hun. Maybe a bitch when you're being one, but that's all, hun. Okay, so he's probably called her a name, and she's like, what the? And the defendant has also gone ahead to say, well, it's all true, hun. And it was about voices in my head, but instead of getting rid of them, they become a part of me, baby. How it works is based on my thoughts and feelings, dear. Depends on what part of me shows, honey. So I'm guessing like here it kind of sounds like he's having a bit of like a episode, because we all know that he struggles with mental health issues. So it sounds like he's having like a bit of a psychotic kind of break here, like a little mini break, or something isn't right. So Gypsy's like, I understand, hun. But that don't mean I don't understand you. Okay. That to me comes across like you could have just left it with the one message. The second one, like backing up his statement, it just kind of seems a tad narcissistic to me. Um, and then she follows it through with another one. I do. Okay, you know, once is enough. You're overloading him. Okay, he comes back and he says, well, maybe after I explained it, you understand, sweetie. Otherwise, no one else understands, hun. So maybe he's like saying to her, look, I'm sorry that I'm explaining it to you. I know you say that you get me, but I'm so used to explaining my behavior to everybody that like, it's just a thing I do. Um, and so Gypsy says, well, I do understand me and my different ways. Yeah, because it's always all about you, isn't it, Gypsy? The defendant says, well, we're supposed to understand each other if we just know how to express each other, dear. So he's just like, well, that's how relationships work. We're supposed to understand each other. Um, yeah, if only we knew how to do that, is pretty much what he's saying there. A Gypsy says, sometimes I'm too expressive. LOL. Well, that kind of just flies straight over his head. Because it's like, not really, because expression involves detail, and I'm better at that, hun. So, you know, I'm not quite sure which one he's portraying to. Like, is he much more leaning towards expression or, yeah, I don't know, or details? I'm guessing details, probably details. Um, so Gypsy says, yes, you are, but I too want everything you do too. Um, and he's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want about Gypsy? Gypsy's like, everything you said you want, I want too. Okay. So, and she's like, to be together. So she's reinstating, like, I am in this for the long haul. The defendant goes on to say, honey, this is where we're different, though. I don't just want everything with you, but I need everything with you. For me, I feel complete. For me to feel complete, sweetheart, I need you to, Gypsy says. Okay. So Gypsy says, promise me the good part of you will never die. By the way, I'm on Facebook too. Like, Gypsy, you already killed the good part of him, love. So that part stopped quite a while ago. I'm sorry to say. Okay. So, um, I, um, okay, so the defendant continues on to say, really, dear, because at times I wonder if you need me. And baby, I could never die. So he needs some reassurance. Obviously, they both do, but maybe Gypsy for a different reason. And Gypsy says, I do need you. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. The defendant is like, honey, you would not mind using your sweet name every once in a while. It helps me remember I'm worshipped, hun. So they've just kind of had like a bit of a scrap, and he's feeling a little bit like the relationship is maybe like a little bit shaky. He needs a little bit of reassurance. And so he's asked her for that, and she's given it to him. And he's like, well, you're kind of not cutting the biscuit here. Can you like give me something else? Like call me a sweet name? So she says, sure, sweetie. And that's comforted him. So he's like, that's better, dear. If you can hear a noise in the background, it is because I have my daughter with me at work today, and she's in the background. She's watching FGTV. So if you're watching this FGTV, my daughter says hi. So Gypsy goes on to say, it's not that I don't worship you. I do, baby. I do. And I look forward to being with you. And I'm just dealing with everything changing, hun. So the defendant is like, about you or exactly what changes, dear? So he needs more information. He's like, what's on your mind? Like, we've spoken about a couple of things. What are you thinking? And she's like, the move, the change that's coming. Darling, I'm scared. Okay, so she's not good with change. The defendant is like, scared of what, my love? Like, to him, there's like, what are you scared of? Like, this is normal. People get together and move out with each other all the time. And Gypsy's like, of everything. So at this point, I don't know if, the undoing has actually been discussed between them yet or not. Like I said, it's the first time me reading these text messages, but I guess that we'll just learn this together. So Gypsy's like, I'm not good with change, baby. And the defendant is like, everything, question mark, sweetheart, we both have that in common when it has to do with moving, dear. So he's like, I'm not kind of fond of change either, but it is what it is. If you want to move forward, this is what's going to happen. And Gypsy's like, I'm not going to be okay. I just need to calm down. Oh, I'm going. I'm gonna. I'm gonna. This is so confusing for an Aussie. I'm gonna be okay. I hate that word, by the way. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It absolutely drives me nuts. So I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to be okay. I just needed to calm down and take a breath. But darling, my feelings for you will never change. So again, she's like, she's just calmed him down and like he's felt like everything's all funnily back. And then she hits him with another question, another doubt, another question that induces doubt. She's fucking with his head. Um, and Gypsy is like, I'm yours and you do make me happy. So, um, what has he got to say about that? So he is, I hope they never change because you scare me at times, dear. So, he could be scared of a few different things. She may be acting a little bit scatty. She It may be the threat that he doesn't feel like the relationship is where it could be in terms of being unbreakable. Cool. Let's read on. The defendant is like, I hope so, honey, because I put my mind, heart, and soul into being with you and making you happy, sweetie. So he's like, I'm giving up everything for you, Gypsy. Like everything. Please, whatever is about to unfold, I need to know from you that this is going to be worth it. Because I like what you're asking me to do is crazy. And Gypsy's like, my feelings won't change. And though I have freakouts, I always come back to you, my love. I'm so sorry I scared you. And she's like, I'll give you lots of love in the hotel, baby. Hmm. I'm sure you will, Gypsy. I'm sure you will. The defendant is like, well, that's reassuring, dear. I needed that. He seems quite impressed with the hotel. Um, and the defendant is also continuing on to say, after doing what my evil side said, hun. So remember when the undoing came undone at the hands of Nick? They were into role play, cosplay, all of that sort of stuff. Fantasy world, they were deep dived into it and also Nick's on the spectrum. And so, having a child myself that's on the spectrum, I can kind of see how he can get uh, deep dived into this thing. We actually keep like a really close watch on my daughter, um, because she will get engrossed into things, like obsessively obsessed with them. And so when we find that we let her enjoy her interests, but we let her enjoy them up to a certain point, and then we encourage her to discover something else. But it kind of like sounds like this is Nick's whole world. His evil side. He wants to explore it, and he wasn't. Well, I'm not sure he actually wants to explore it. I think Gypsy is encouraging him to explore it. So and Gypsy's like, I reassured you on Facebook too, hun. And she's like, yes, baby. The defendant's like, okay, baby. Gypsy says, you said don't let anything in our way. And she capitalizes that. So, like, she means it. Don't let anything in our way. Um, Gypsy wrote, I wore myself out with being emotional. Oh, Gypsy, you poor bugger. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens? When you're planning a murder and it just like emotionally drains you so much. Ugh, fucking hate it when that happens. Anyway, the defendant is, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Okay, I'm a little lost on that one, I have to say, but then again, I am a little slow. So the defendant says, it's true, dear. I'm guessing, oh, they've doubled that up. Okay, let's move on. Maybe I'm not so slow after all. Gypsy says, so sorry, hun, I took a nap. So she must have ghosted him for 10 minutes, who knows. Um, and he says, I thought you did, dear. And Gypsy's like, I hope you feel better now, hun, because I do. Isn't it amazing what just a little nana nap does for you? Just so refreshed. I'm so glad for you, Gypsy, that you could just sleep all your worries away. The defendant, I just needed to be reassured, hun. he's like, it was crazier today. I just needed some reassurance because, like, you're crazy and I don't know where I stand. And she was just like, okay, darling, well, love, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything, and I'm not giving up. Mm. I remember seeing screenshots of some posts on a Facebook group, I think it was that I was in, of somebody that was on Gypsy's Facebook account as a friend back in the day. And she took some screenshots of things that she used to post about her mother. And it's like, wow, I adore and worship you. You're my everything. This is exactly how she used to speak about her mother on Facebook, um, when her mother was still alive, obviously. So I find that interesting. Excuse me. So the defendant says, that's music to my ears, sweetie. Gypsy's like, big smile, smile. And the defendant's like, dear, will there be less of these freakouts in person? So he's like, if we're going to meet, you can't be this fucking crazy in person because, dude. And she's like, yes, darling, when we're together, I will be a lot more relaxed. Oh, see, like all he has to do is just fix all the problems for her and she'll be relaxed. And she's like, mostly because we can use hug, kisses, and body language to prevent it. Prevent what? I don't know. Um, the defendant's like, true, and sex will relieve us of stress, dear. I can hear a guinea pig. Hello. I told you my daughter's in the studio with me. A gypsy's like, LOL, that too, hun. Eye roll. I'm starting to eye roll. The defendant, yes, dear. A gypsy. A lot of our problems are we don't have a physical relationship, hun. So it's hard, hun. It's so hard, but you just can't get a D inside you, Like it's just so hard. Anyway, moving on. Defendant, true, I suppose most of all of our problems are physically related, dear. So he's like, yeah, we're probably just both a little bit too horny, really. And we just kind of need to get together and smash that shit out. Get it over and done with. I can hear you laughing at me, Alana. Gypsy. And Gypsy's like, and I want you to know being with me won't be hell. It will be much better, sweetie. Okay, like, why would you even feel the need to have to compare yourself to hell? Anyway, the defendant, when exactly, dear? Since you got me curious. So, like, is he like saying, like when? When are you going to stop being crazy? Or is he like, when is all of this going to happen? And Gypsy's like, well, I'm going to start now, but I'll be all the way better when we see each other. Oh, so yes, he is. That's what he was saying. And she got it. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to start improving right now. Right now is where I start improving. And when I get to you and you love me and I love you and mother is DEAD, I am going to be so relaxed. I told you the immature side of me comes out. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's move on. The defendant. All right, dear. Gypsy. Do I make you happy? Is this not like the second time, like second day in a row that she's like asked him that? Like the dude just becomes comfortable and then you make him question it. Like he's constantly having to prove himself to you. Very narcissistic. The defendant, when you don't have your freak outs, yes, dear. And Gypsy's like, maybe you might like me better in person. And she's like, wow, why don't you just meet me? I know I'm a little bit too much for you right now, but if we just meet, maybe you would see what you're missing. I'm totally going to regret this podcast. Maybe not. Gypsy, by the way, I'm afraid of bugs, just so you know. Okay, so just so you know, just so you know, when we meet, if you have a bug in your pocket, I swear to God, I'm going to freak out. So I'm petrified of bugs. The defendant, bugs? Yeah, exactly, dude. That was my question. Bugs. Dear, there is no reason for that. And you know, I'll worship you either way, whether in person or from afar. He's like, chill, dude. Just chill. Just chill. We're in contact. No, we haven't done anything physical just yet. Yes, it would be nice. Yes, I'm jerking off in McDonald's, but everything's okay. Like, just roll with it. Jips, just roll with it. You know, stop freaking out. Stop being a Looney Tune all the bloody time. So, Gypsy's like, I'm just letting you know my phobia is bugs and spiders. Well, I'm actually really glad, Gypsy, that you clarified and cleared all that up because yeah, it's going to make a huge difference to your relationship moving forward. Glad we got that out of the way. Gypsy's like, I always feel like crap after I freak out because you're caught in the middle. There is no middle, Gypsy. It's you and him. There's no middle. You're abusing him. That's what you're doing. There's no abusing him by proxy. It's just dead set abusing him. Okay? Got that? Let's move on. Gypsy, I can't stay even an hour away from you. Okay, Gypsy's having a moment. Um, the defendant and spiders, that's also something harmless to you most of the time, hun? Okay, I'm a little confused. But he's saying, does this phobia go as far as spiders? Because they're generally harmless. Like, why are you scared of bugs and spiders? You know. If you lived in Australia, you probably have a reason to be scared of them. However, we just get a bloody broom and put them outside. That's what we do under the backyard dunny. Um, the defendant is meant to be that way, though, dear. He's very reassuring to Gypsy. He's always having to pull her head back out of her ass and sit it back on her shoulders and say, listen, I might be slow, Gyps, but you're really starting to shit me, mate. You're really starting to give me the shits. And Gypsy's like, it's just my fears, hon. She's so insecure. Gypsy, so you take your little creepy, buggy friends and escort them out the house. And he's like, yes, exactly, dear. Mm, mhm, I shall do that. The defendant, and don't worry about bugs. They're harmless, hun. So, like, is his house known to be bug infested? Let me tell you, I have seen the crime scene photos of the inside of the Blanchard house, and let me tell you, a Gypsy has experienced a bug or two in her life because holy moly, I know Dee Dee was not well, but damn, girl, damn, somebody should have stepped in, especially welfare. Where the hell was welfare? Anyway, so Gypsy's like, so we're all cool, sweetheart. Are we all cool? Have we cleared all of that up? And the defendant's like, yes, hun. It's just your freakouts that scare me, honey. So like he's literally like, he's freaking out. He's thinking this chick, like this chick's off her rocker. What the hell is wrong with her? So Gypsy's like, we have that in common, hun. And so she's like convincing him, like, come on, you can't call me crazy. If you call me crazy, you got to admit that you're crazy too. She's normalizing her crazy ass ways. Yeah. So Of course we do, dear. Of course I do. So now we're up to Thursday, May 28th, 2015. My mind was just blown then for a minute. Was it really that long ago? It just feels like yesterday. Anyway, this seems like a really good place to just leave this, and we'll pick up and we'll read the next text message threads in the next podcast. Thank you for joining me again. Thank you for putting up with all my crazy eye rolls and all the rest of it. I can't help it. I'm a very petty person, if I must be honest. And I know I'm petty. I take on board that I'm petty, and it's just my makeup. It's just the way I am. So I'm sorry that this one wasn't the most professional podcast. I just have a lot of issues. I just have a lot of issues. And I can't sit here and pretend and read them like a script because my mind just gets distracted by the stupidness of the whole entire thing. How this even ended up in this situation with her walking free is beyond me. Neither of these two should be walking the streets. Neither of them. I mean, if you had a 19-year-old son, would you be happy if he was texting somebody like Gypsy? I don't think so. Mm-mm, at all. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Have a great day.